Well, let's begin with the baseball story du jour, which is, I guess Shohei wasn't lying. His story is holding up here. Do you agree that Shohei Ohtani's defense holds up in the court of public opinion? David Samson, we begin with you.
Well, there's an affidavit, a 37-page affidavit, which basically echoes everything that Shohei said, which is I had no idea until I was told in a hotel room in Korea that I was missing money, and it wasn't $4.5 million, it was $16 million. And apparently his interpreter was a gambling addict making 19,000 bets and losing $40 million gambling on games, anywhere from $10 to $160,000, but no baseball, and I had no idea. And by the way, the interpreter pretended he was me and called the bank and changed phone numbers and contacts. And I said on Nothing Personal this morning that I can't change the phone number on my Uber Eats account without 3 different ways of authentication and codes being sent left and right. And somehow Bank A, which is what they call it in the affidavit, Bank A allowed all of these huge wire transfers. So I still think there's going to be more to the story. But what is happening now is wire fraud and bank fraud. It's not a gambling inquiry into Ippei. It's wire fraud and bank fraud, which is why MLB is still investigating, because they have to make sure that there was no connectivity between Ohtani and any gambling on sports, and certainly not baseball.
Go ahead, Adnan. No, go for it.
I was going to say it's a sickening situation, quite frankly, because this guy completely abuses the trust of one of the great players in the sport. And the question that a lot of us had is, how did he get access to the money? Apparently, they set up the account together. Like David said, he impersonated Ohtani on the phone while trying to get a car loan, and then was just completely reckless and clearly had no remorse whatsoever. To David's point, the 19,000 bets, that's 25 bets a day. And then they deleted text message March 20th to his bookmaker. He said, have you seen the news? Yeah, I stole from him. Like it's clearly unequivocal what Ippei was about. And it's insane just how lawless he was, how brazen he was, and what he did to Ohtani. So it's clearly disappointing. I think in many ways it's a best case scenario if you're looking at a big picture, that Ohtani wasn't involved, that there was no gambling on baseball. But it's upsetting to say the least. And I was kind of stunned at just, like I said, how brazen Ippei was. And I'll say this, guys, as I know there's always going to be some skepticism. This was the feds. Like, this is under the threat of perjury that Ohtani cooperated. He gave up his phone. I mean, Tom Brady famously would not give his phone to Roger Goodell. So
that's what Brady was suspended for, ultimately, not for breaking his cell phone.
But I've never seen a smoking gun like his statement, which is technically I stole from him. What was in Minority Report with Leo Crow and all the pictures on the bed? An orgy of evidence is, I think, what they called it. And this was one of the biggest smoking guns you could have in this affidavit. But Adnan, where I just would beg you to think about what the feds were investigating, it's a big investigation involving illegal bookmaking. And it's been going on for a long time. This is just a part of it. And they were looking for Ippei, and the charges in the affidavit are wire fraud and bank fraud. It doesn't go to gambling. It's not a concern. They put the line in the affidavit, there were no bets on baseball, but it only is from a period of time of 21 to 24. Ohtani's been in the league longer, which is why MLB released a statement saying we're going to wait for all criminal proceedings to be resolved, and then we will see where we are, because MLB can't get caught with their pants down here. They cannot have anybody come out anytime with any bets that Ippei or anyone made prior to 21 that may have involved Ohtani.
But are neither of you skeptical of the fact that Ippei and Ohtani, we were told beforehand, were so close, they were best friends? This guy somehow is making these insane amounts of bets. He's so deceptive. He's so calculated. He's stealing from Shohei. Shohei has no idea. He's completely in the dark, completely blindsided by all of this. Somehow, while they're so close, he never sees someone who's lost $180 million gambling and won $140 million gambling. He's never seen this guy sweat or any sign that anything was amiss, right? He's so careful and calculated. He's such this evil mastermind to steal from Shohei. And then at the same time is so sloppy and reckless on text messages where he's like, yeah, I stole from him, LOL, whoopsie, and then that's
I'm
how
bad
they
at
catch him.
gambling,
Like,
LOL.
that seems strange to believe that he was so careful and calculated, and then all of a sudden, when we're looking for a smoking gun, oh, there it is. The day that the investigation's going on and he admits to it, he's just texting carelessly about it, and we gotcha.
To an illegal
Preach.
bookmaker. He's texting, and not knowing the difference between a bookmaker and DraftKings, which he also said, having also had a different story the night before the story broke. But my question is, do you have friends who may do things that you don't know about?
Correct. There's no honor among thieves, Billy. You think you know everything. Tim Duncan got ripped off by one of his best friends. He said he'd known him since grade school.
Oh, no.
The true criminal can do this.
No, and like in marriages, there's affairs that clearly, partners
Correct.
don't know what's going on, right? It seems weird that he's so careful in one aspect and so reckless in the other. And the area where he's reckless, all of a sudden, gets the guy that no one wants to go down, gets him off. And he's good now because we have this crazy reckless text that was sent while the news is coming out.
What I was picturing is, because Shohei sleeps so much, I was picturing that Ippei would put Shohei to bed and then put on college lacrosse and start gambling on every possible game, watch every game, and then Shohei would stir at 10 in the morning. He'd be like, "Oh no, hold on, I'll be right there. I'm watching the end of some game in Europe." So I can imagine there's hours in the day because Shohei sleeps so much. Yeah. But clearly, I wonder whether Shohei ever, when they were together and awake, was wondering why they were watching the CFL midweek game. And it seems that Ippei was interested in the outcome of that.
In fairness, if you haven't seen the Saskatchewan Roughriders lately, they've been terrific. So I think I can back him up on that one.
Am I crazy for feeling really bad for this guy? He just ruined and destroyed his life over what seems to be a very, very severe gambling addiction, and also destroyed a friendship that he's had for years. The entire thing just makes me feel very sad.
It is tragic, obviously, any type of addiction, but he is taking it, and he's going to be in court today. He could plead guilty to this wire fraud, and everyone is saying, well, it's $1 million or 30 years in prison. He's not going to get 30 years in prison. There's going to be an element of restitution where he has to try to pay Otani back, the victim of the theft, and he obviously won't be able to do that. And query, where's the other 24 million? Mm-hmm. He lost 40, stole 16. Does he owe 24 to the bookie? And is the bookie going to break his legs or just say, hey, it's on me, it's good? Or do they go to Otani as the creditor?
Where is Stugotz today, by the way?
And Stugotz could offer some more color on this situation. But to Jess's point, just the sadness of the whole gambling addiction, legendary bettor Billy Walters in his book had this quote: "The biggest thrill for a bettor is winning a big bet. But the second biggest thrill is losing a big bet." That is this lifestyle. You were just completely stuck.
You never
in this
feel
vicious
more
cycle.
alive than when they're pulling the chips away.
Hold on, let's entertain this idea. Let's say he is the fall guy. David, what kind of prison time are we looking at here?
De minimis. I mean, it's theft. I would say.
I know what that word means, but for those that don't.
Not a lot. Not a lot. I would say it could be 1 to 2 years. I wouldn't expect it to be more. It is a big deal, obviously, this type of theft and fraud, but there are thefts and frauds alleged that are far bigger than $16 million. It's just famous because Shohei's famous, but rich people get money stolen from them all the time. So it's not 30 years. Take the under if you can find that on DraftKings.
But it's a scenario where 1 or 2 years, it's ripe for a fall guy situation to protect $700 million.
And anyone see Rising? What is the movie, Adnan, with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes?
Rising Sun.
Rising Sun.
Yeah.
We all know what happened in that movie.
We got.
You don't even know. For those who
I know
don't
what happened in that movie.
Yeah,
for those that don't,
David,
can you tell us in 5 seconds?
1993 classic. Well done, David.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess the sun came up.
Did you guys see the part in what came out yesterday where one of the, I guess, bookies or whatever was following Shohei while he was walking his dog? And he's like, hey, I can't get a hold of you, but I'm looking at victim 1 here walking his dog. I may go up to him.
He got a call back immediately from Ippei after that, didn't he?